Confessions of an SEO. These are my experiences in SEO, both as an SEO and as an SEO tester. Isn't me telling you what someone else says about SEO. I believe in first-hand experience to understand Google. I watch their feet, and then I share what I see with you. So if you're an independent or agency SEO, I get you. And for business owners or stakeholders who are listening who struggle to keep up with the SEO front, but they don't necessarily want to show it, understand that as a previous local business owner, I understand the frustration of sort of being in charge, but not when it comes to something like SEO. So also I want to extend thanks to Confessions testing and research sponsor, the dental marketing guy, Justin Morgan. He owns and manages a marketing analyst and service firm for dentists. Let's get started. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 46. Last week, I was in heaven, at least mostly. It was in Dallas after all. And that there is a little extra, or I should say intrastate humor. I live in Austin, Texas, so I can pile on with impunity. All right. Needless to say, getting together with like minds was just what the doctor ordered. I came home with tests literally spilling out of me. It was a little bit frustrating being in the car for those 3 hours and thinking, but not really having a way to jot things down. So I did the next best thing. I called my office number and left messages every time one popped in that sounded either stupid, useless, or crazy. Because as any SEO tester will tell you, those are the best kind. Okay, so if you're new to Confessions, I am an SEO tester the way other people are Parrot enthusiasts. For us, there is no halfway, there's only obsession. And testing is always informative because sometimes you see what not to do. For instance, I have been seeing some things that while you can do them, meaning the technology and the browsers will let you do it, but it's looking like being able to do those things in a way may create duplicate content on the page if we're not careful, if we don't take care of sort of sealing everything up. And this is what I think about. This is what causes me to sort of stare out the window pondering various things. Don't I sound exciting? So some of the test ideas, of course, revolve around the indexation piece. Okay, so if you're listening to this and you don't already know that I have an ongoing indexation research project, let me be the first one to tell you. And it's been going on for over a year. We're in year 2, about 80 days in. Every day, whether it's a test day or an observation day, I'm like a digital Steve Irwin, the nature guy. But I'm able to be one without the threat of being attacked by animals. May he rest in peace. But I observe and report back on the behavior and general indexation conditions. And, well, it's a lot of manual activity. Now, it doesn't take time. It requires time that I gladly give it. So, for instance, just running this research requires approximately 90 minutes a day. Now, doesn't take 90 minutes a day to publish a test. But when you're looking at server logs and things like that and taking notes and comparisons and checking over 100 pages to confirm that everything is getting indexed, I literally, right before I sit down, I calculated out, if it's 90 minutes a day, in a week's time, that adds up to over what passes as a normal working weekday for most people. And that's how you get 8 working days out of every week. Yeah, it's a bit nutty. So here's what I think is the perfect day for me. I'll wake up, yay, I'm breathing. Someone online has responded to one of my questions and has given me this really cool testing protocol that they're hoping to have multiple people test. That's one part. And then the second part is someone else generously pipes in and shows me the software that I will need to be able to set up the components of this new test. I diagram it out, and then instead of going to work to build someone else's hopes and dreams, I go for a walk with my sweetie, and I even tell him about the test idea, and he doesn't mentally check out. Now we get back to the house. I craft and drink a lovely cappuccino sweetened with maple syrup from Vermont. And yes, my caps are proper caps. A third espresso, a third steamed milk, and a third foam. Okay. Well, and then I start in earnest to sort of set up each page, document the components, the dates, the times, the hypothesis, because you can't forget the hypothesis. And I have grown to see the wisdom in adopting the mindset that for anything that I'm testing for, I will probably think that it won't happen. I probably will think that it's something won't happen. And when I do that, it's like you think of the two possible outcomes. One, if it doesn't work, then I'm right. And if it does, and I'm wrong, I'm still very happy because I found something, made a discovery. And it's all about expectations, people. And honestly, I think that's kind of where most miss the mark. I try to be as agnostic as I can, meaning either way, I don't care what the result is. I just want to know, does it or does it not? Now, when tests give mixed signals, that's a bit tougher because it might be Google weirdness that can't be repeated, or it might be a sign that this is a great place to start digging. Now, what that means is coming up with a revised test to see if you can further isolate factors from each other so that you can get a clearer signal. And it's not easy being agnostic, if you're working on a client site. So I don't do that. Okay, so I try not to do that. If I do anything testy on a client site, more often than not, I do it just to check and confirm if Google is serving the latest version of the edits on that page. That's it. Wow, how did I get here from talking about my perfect day? Okay, so like most things, SEO testing is measuring 3 times and cutting once. When it comes to launching the actual test, it's always a little anticlimactic. You hit publish or you upload and it's done. Of course, afterwards, it's like you have to write down a lot of stuff. You have to note dates and times. And then I do try to set an alarm to like when I want to check again, because otherwise I'm hovering over the Google machine checking for results like I have OCD. Now, these days, these reminders on my phone are useful. I can't forget them unless, God forbid, I lose my phone. And then when you have enough tests running, the other flip side is it's really hard to keep them straight. And right now, when I talk to Alexa, she doesn't have a judgy sound to her voice, so she helps me too. I'm surprised she didn't pop in and join me. Okay, so documentation for SEO tests is like what they do in a doctor's office, charting things. So if, like I often did, launch a test right into the abyss and Google announcing, 24 hours later that we're in a massive update. Oh, that's fun. It actually becomes part of the test, which is strangely weird. Now, two falls ago during COVID, I spent 2 weeks setting up a massive test across 4 pages. It's like 100 fake keywords and 100 paragraphs on each page, and each paragraph had a different keyword, but it was trying to vary the density and keeping the same word count across each of the pages. Now, if you're lost just hearing that, imagine doing that. And I did it like it was a job. I got up, showered, went walking, and then I just got started. And it wasn't so much as difficult, like the task itself was not difficult. Difficulty was keeping them straight and keeping the documentation together. And then I launched it and suddenly Google stopped indexing. It was in the fall, kind of like where we are now. So, food for thought. And earlier that same year, I think it was April 2020, there was one of those updates that went on forever. Like it was like 43 days or something. And at the time, it was way before I was doing the indexation research. So I guess in a perverse kind of way, what I'm saying is, I guess ultimately, is that I would love to record data during one of those updates. Anyway, the point being is that when you launch a test, at the end of the day, it's like the ending of a play for a little while. And I say that because in college, many of you know that I was a music student. I played viola in as many orchestras as they would let me. And my most fond memories are times when I could play in the orchestra for the theater department. I'll admit it, I loved playing musicals. They were so fun. And I remember in particular Peter Pan. You know, the one with the flying Peter Pan and the pirates and the singing. And of course, every night it's the same story over and over. And, you know, there are times where you get tired of it. But the thing is that all of us doing something together got to feel so real to us all that when it was over, everybody was in a funk. You know, the times that used to be so full of fun and people and lots of stress, suddenly, without any emotional warning, it felt almost shocking to have so much more time in the day. Now, it's not exactly the same thing in SEO, but you could say it's kind of how much you are, well, let me just say it this way. Some of you may think I'm romanticizing testing a lot, but I think that what it is that when you have a passion for something, like I know I have a passion for figuring things out. And as much as one can when it comes to Google would be my preference. That's how I earn a living. So when what you're doing is not your job, but it's completely self-determined up to the point of launch, and that's what I'm talking about testing, that up until that moment of launch, it's all you, right? You get to figure out when you're going to start, what you're going to test, how you're going to isolate, who you're going to share your test with, if you're going to even share your test publicly. And then once you hit publish, you know, it's all in Google's hands. So I launched 5 tests in last week since coming back from the SEO Rockstars, Dallas. And I'm currently working on one that uses some images. And I'm pretty sure at the end of the day, you know, testing is always going to be part of my life, my work life and my private life. I went 2 years out of SEO, not testing. And when I got back into it, I made a promise to myself that I wasn't going to do that again, that whatever it took, this is what I was going to be doing. Now, my sister-in-law, who's really more how I would imagine a sister would be, and I have to say imagine because of the 4 children my parents had, I was the only girl. Now, my sister-in-law is a Parrot person, the way I am an SEO tester. It's all or nothing. She's got cages everywhere. The birds talk all the time. And she even built an aviary off the back of their house so that the parrots could fly and play in relative safety. I mean, she's even thought of how to make it so when she built the aviary with some things that would stop snakes from getting underneath the sides and getting in there. Now they live in Florida, which is just 2 degrees away from Australia when it comes to anything that can kill you. And whenever we go visit them, there's one parrot that I seem to connect to, and she is a cockatoo named Sugarboo. Wow, that rhymes more than I thought it did. Wow. Well, when it comes time to leave, our sister jokes and asks me, you know, do I want to take Sugarboo with me? And every time, all I can think of saying is, testing is my parrot. Well, that's going to do it for today. Remember, you can catch the daily crawl or no crawl reports where I report on indexation and indexation rates. You can find these on YouTube. You can just search for crawl or no crawl and you'll find it. You can click on the link in the description. I will make sure that you have that. And in January, I'm going to reopen my forensic SEO training course. If you are interested in it, check out forensicseotraining.com. And you can learn more about what it is by going there, reading the page. And if you wish, you can get on an early bird notification list. Thank you for being a listener. And thank you to the sponsors of Confessions that help support this work for themselves and others. And special thank you to Justin Morgan. If you'd like to support this podcast and SEO research, there's a link in the description. Please subscribe to Confessions. You can also Google Confessions of an SEO. You can't miss it. It has been my pleasure to be with you. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you in the SERPs.